So you launched the Apple based app last week, and along with that, kind of a lot of announcements about Utopia VR being ready for general release. Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. It was a year and a half in the making, very slow, very painstaking amount of work that went into this, an incredible team that's put it together. And we did launch last week, and the feedback has been tremendous. Thousands of new users. We expect that that's going to multiply
Hmm.
significantly in the weeks and the months ahead. And the initial feedback on everything is that there are very few hiccups. And one of the things that we are absolutely committed to is being what we call fiercely unafraid of being imperfect, because we
Hmm.
know this is version 1.0.
Hmm.
Anybody in the space, it doesn't matter if you're a software or WebXR or VR, AR, everybody, it's all version
Yep.
1.0, right?
Yep. I like to say when I do my explorations in my videos that everything is beta, right? We're so new in this whole industry, this whole XR industry, that a lot of the supporting technologies, right, have to continue to catch up. We talk about 5G, we talk about AI, we talk about the web standards, and of course, Utopia is all built on WebXR, which kind of makes you unique in the industry in that you're totally agnostic to hardware. So you could be in Windows Mixed Reality, you could be on a Vive, you could be on a Valve Index, you could be on Oculus like I am today. We're meeting here in using the Oculus browser. It doesn't matter. You can use any hardware as long as you have a modern browser. You can be on a desktop. You could be on a tablet. You can be on the phone. And then, of course, we started with mentioning the Apple app, and you could fire that up and participate in a meeting with us today on any of those platforms.
And Rick, it only takes about 15, maybe 20 seconds to make
Mm-hmm.
that happen. And, I have nothing negative to say about, some of the bigger meeting
Mm-hmm.
platforms that are out there. They are what they are. They're juggernauts, they're huge
Mm-hmm.
companies, but there is a certain level of fatigue. And I'm not going to include, any company name in there. When you're in one of those meetings, you're looking at a meeting. When you're in
Mm-hmm.
a meeting on our platform or any
Mm-hmm.
WebXR platform, you're actually in a meeting. There's
Yeah.
a distinct difference, a really distinct difference. And what I like about our platform is that you can activate the camera quickly and easily so that you can be the center of attention. And at the end of the day, people can walk away from the platform knowing that the platform can also give back. There's advertising and marketing opportunities. I mean, anything that you can imagine in that space, in that marketing space, it can take place in the WebXR world. Not just us, by the way. It can take place anywhere in the WebXR world.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so powerful. And then, of course, you've been building and enhancing the feature set and the things you can do. As we and the environments. I've got to think that you probably are also a leader just in the sheer number of environments that you have available for users to take advantage of. I mean, I've been on some very nice, very impressive meeting and collaboration platforms, and I might have one, two, three, four maybe environments that I could move around to for specific needs. You have dozens available right off the bat, isn't that correct?
That is correct. And I would say probably another 100 that are in development in the background. It's
Mm-hmm.
an incredible team of individuals that have been working on this, and not only working on it, but one of the things that how we describe it for our prospective clients and people that are collaborating with us here at the early stages, think of us like an apartment building. You think about your apartment and what you want it to look like. We're going to provide the electricity and we're going to provide the plumbing. You can build a world. There's lots of talented people out there
Mm-hmm.
building these incredible looking, worlds or rooms and what we call vrooms, but you need the
Vrooms.
functionality.
VROOMS, right?
That is correct.
I
Yeah.
love that, by the way. I'm totally going to steal that.
Yeah, well, it's trademarked already, so
Oh,
knock yourself out.
I'll absolutely give credit.
Yeah, no problem at all. And you know what? We hope that terminology becomes as ubiquitous as WebXR. You know,
Hmm.
we believe that WebXR is going to be in the coming years. We know that this is a multi-year project. And like I was saying, one of the things it's about functionality. You know, if you can dream it, you know, if you want a duplicate of your bricks and mortar
Hmm.
environment, and you can create that. Now you need the functionality. Well, you bring
Hmm.
it to our team, and what we can do is we can add the plumbing and we can add the electricity so that you can enjoy the kind of experience that people are looking for.
So if there was a need for it, a company or a business wanted a digital twin of an office or a building, they could come to you and you could make that happen.
That's correct, and those are custom projects that we obviously we bill back for, and we've got several of those that are in motion right now, and we expect quite a few more to come.
Hmm. But what other kind of file types can you bring in, Kevin? You've talked about PDF.
Yeah, so you can bring in three-dimensional objects, you can bring in GLBs, you can bring in GLFTs, OBJs. If it's a three-dimensional object that can work in a WebXR space, you can bring it in. And we're doing that now. In fact, we're doing that with a trade show
Hmm.
company that has been in the trade show business here in Canada for a number of years.
Ah.
And in late November, we're going to have a very large trade show where there's going to be heavy equipment in a room, not dissimilar to this, but about 40 or 50 times the size, where you're able
Mm.
to bring in heavy equipment and have your customers and your prospective customers in a virtual conference. And let's be honest, most of these virtual conferences and trade shows over the past, I'll say, year and a half to 2 years,
Hmm.
it's all been done by traditional meetings like Zoom,
Hmm.
and that's okay. But in our environment, you can actually interact with these objects, and you know, if you're up for it, we can take a quick peek at what that
Oh,
might look like.
absolutely. I'd love to take a look at some of the environments. You could share your desktop, your camera, other things in here, correct?
Absolutely. In fact, let me just remove that PDF file. I can turn on my camera, make sure I'm looking good here. Here we go. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, look, I see you. There you are.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's quick and easy.
Now, of course, I'm sure one of your environments is probably a big auditorium where you could be up on the wall if we were having a conference.
Yes, absolutely. We have a couple of environments like that. We have one that can accommodate up to 500 people seated.
Hmm.
And of course, WebXR, there are limitations,
Hmm.
right? And everybody in the industry knows that because every person
Sure.
that enters that environment creates an audio channel with everybody else in the room.
Yep.
That is chaotic. But we do have those that kind of a room where you can have up to about 500 people. The more intimate settings, most meetings, by the way, Rick, most online meetings today are 10 or less people.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're not gigantic get-togethers. They're
Right.
the vast majority of meetings are very, very small. But we can comfortably accommodate anywhere between 25 and 50 people in our environments.
Hmm.
Uh, we've tested that out, and it's no different than other platforms. But you don't want everybody's microphone on at the same time. So
Right.
we've got the functionality built into the system to make sure that chaos doesn't ensue when
Well, I think
when
even
that happens.
the conventional video conference platforms have their a whole separate events application from their meeting application so that they can handle those bigger crowds and do just the kind of things that you're talking about.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
So, Kevin, maybe you can show us some of the other environments and locations.
Yeah, so just give me a moment here. I'm going to find. I got to grab the right link here. One of my favorite um, one of my favorite rooms is our art galleries,
Mm.
and the the opportunity to showcase what artists do, people that have NFTs. We
Hmm.
know that NFTs are on
Yes.
everybody's mind
Yep.
right now.
Big thing right now.
It's a huge thing right now. But if you think about all of this NFT art, for example, where are you going to display it? You own it, but where are you going to display it?
Hmm.
You can put it on a web page, or you can actually let people engage with it. So let's take a pop over here. This is going to pop up on the chat function, click on that link, and I'll join you
Okay,
there
wait just a
in
second.
just a moment.
I'm looking.
There you are. So Rick, welcome to this is the beta version or the draft version for a lady from Winnipeg who is one of the most prolific Indigenous artists probably in the world.
Hmm.
She sells her artwork to hospitals and government buildings literally around the planet. And so we've set up this art gallery for her. So if you want to just use your Oculus controls and
Mm-hmm.
kind of follow me down the center
Yep.
aisle here.
Oh, it's actually
Go
really
relatively
beautiful.
slowly. You can look left and right. It's essentially like you're in a real art gallery.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely.
The cool thing about this, in our minds, is that it's a web tab, right? This is a web tab.
Mm-hmm.
So the artist, and it just happens that her name is Betty. Betty could be in the room digitally just by having a web tab open. And so, for example, she could be right down here, just sort of standing in the corner as I am right now. And you pop in, it's, hi, Rick, how are you? Rick, thanks for visiting my gallery. How can I help you today? You might have questions about something. Now you think about this, whether it's an art gallery or a retail environment, we all know this is where the future of consumerism is headed. Some of the biggest companies in the world are going to be creating environments like this and having digital avatar-based store representatives available for customers that wander in. Hey, I've got a question about this, or I've got a question about that. How can I find it? How can I come on with me? Let me show you. And you physically can take the person around the environment. The experience is way better than a two-dimensional website.
And you really get a good sense of the actual art objects also.
Yeah, and how they would look on a wall in your in your environment. You get a sense of that as well. And again, you can bring in three-dimensional objects. So let's say there's what's called soapstone art. Indigenous artists make these extraordinary soapstone items that are sold all over the world. You could scan that with an iPhone 12 now with your LiDAR function. Scan it with an iPhone 12 and literally within minutes be able to bring it into an environment like this and allow that potential buyer or customer or patron the opportunity to not just look at it, but to actually experience it. Huge difference.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I remember being impressed by when I looked at Utopia about a year ago is, I a function bar up here at above my head, and I can come in here and click that and actually jump out and grab a 3D object, Sketchfab or stored on my own storage, and bring it really easily just in one step. And I can do that, like you said, whether I'm or your desktop.
You're exactly right. And, Rick, over and above that, we are building features in the background that are going to take the experience, like what's that famous Emerald? Like boom, take things to the next level.
Right.
Or bam, whatever his, I can't remember his saying.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to kick it up a notch. That's the phrase. There you go.
Well, Kevin, you're ready for your own cooking show in here now.
Pretty much, actually. Actually, we're working with a group right now, and I got to be very careful that I don't blow their cover, so to speak. But we're working with a group right now out of New York, and I'll tell you, we tested our platform, and what they did was they made spaghetti and meatballs. Now, here's how they did it. What they did was they made the spaghetti in New York. So we had our room set up in New York. So you had a chef in New York making spaghetti, and I swear to God, this is true. We had a Swedish chef in Sweden making Swedish meatballs, and together they made spaghetti and meatballs. So Italian spaghetti from New York and Swedish meatballs from Sweden, and they did it on our platform. Oh. They had a blast. They had an absolute blast doing it, because you can also have a live audience, which is different than those pre-recorded flat screen two-dimensional experiences.
Wow, that's fantastic. So what else do you have to show me?